The psychology behind instant respect. What most men don't know. Have you ever noticed something strange? Two men walk into the same room. Neither one says very much. Neither one is trying to impress anyone. Yet within minutes, people naturally pay more attention to one of them. They listen when he speaks. They value his opinion. They treat him differently. It's almost as if he earned respect before he even introduced himself. Why does that happen? Is it because he's richer, better looking, stronger? Sometimes. But surprisingly, those things are rarely the biggest reason. Psychologists have spent decades studying first impressions, confidence, leadership, and human behavior. One thing becomes very clear. People make incredibly fast judgments, often within seconds. But here's what most men get wrong. Respect is not something you can demand. You can't force it. You can't buy it. And you certainly can't fake it forever. Real respect comes from the signals you consistently send through your behavior. Most of those signals are so small that you never even notice them. But everyone else does. The way you react under pressure, the way you speak, the way you treat people, the way you carry yourself, the promises you keep, the standards you live by. These quiet behaviors slowly build a reputation. And once people see those patterns, respect often follows naturally. So today, let's talk about the psychology behind instant respect and why most men unknowingly push it away. Number 1. People respect emotional stability. Imagine two men facing the exact same problem. The first immediately loses his temper. He complains, raises his voice, blames everyone around him. His emotions take control. The second man is frustrated too. But instead of reacting immediately, he pauses. He thinks. He responds calmly. Which man feels more trustworthy? Most people naturally respect emotional stability because calmness communicates strength. When someone stays composed during difficult situations, it tells people something important. This person can handle pressure. Think about firefighters, pilots, emergency doctors, military leaders. Imagine if they panicked every time something went wrong. Nobody would trust them. The same principle applies in everyday life. People feel safer around emotionally stable individuals. This doesn't mean hiding your emotions. It means learning to control them instead of allowing them to control you. One of the biggest mistakes many men make is believing that anger makes them look powerful. In reality, uncontrolled anger often communicates the opposite. It suggests someone else controls your emotional state. Real strength isn't losing control. It's maintaining it. Number 2. People watch what you tolerate. Here's something fascinating. People don't only judge you by what you say. They judge you by what you allow. If someone constantly interrupts you, do you calmly continue speaking? Or do you immediately back down? If someone repeatedly disrespects your time, do you ignore it every single time? Or do you politely communicate your standards? Your boundaries teach people how to treat you. Many men accidentally train others to disrespect them, not because they're bad people, but because they're afraid of conflict. They're afraid someone might dislike them. So they stay quiet. They tolerate behavior that bothers them. They say yes when they really want to say no. Over time, people begin assuming that's acceptable. Psychology calls this reinforcement. Whatever behavior gets accepted often gets repeated. That's why self-respect matters. Not because it intimidates people, because it teaches people what you value. Respect begins long before someone admires you. It begins when you consistently respect yourself. Number 3. People trust consistency more than charisma. Some men believe respect comes from having the perfect personality. Being funny, being charming, being entertaining. Those qualities certainly help, but they don't create lasting respect. Consistency does. Imagine someone who always arrives on time, keeps promises, speaks honestly, acts the same whether important people are watching or not. Eventually, people stop questioning his character because consistency builds predictability, and predictability builds trust. Now imagine the opposite. Someone who changes depending on who's around, makes promises but rarely keeps them, acts confidently one day, then disappears the next. People become uncertain, and uncertainty weakens respect. One of the strongest psychological principles is this: people trust patterns more than isolated moments. Anyone can impress people once. Very few people impress others consistently. That's why discipline quietly earns more respect than talent, because discipline shows up repeatedly. Number 4. People respect those who don't need constant approval. This may be one of the biggest differences between respected men and overlooked men. Respected men don't spend every conversation trying to be liked. That doesn't mean they're rude, or arrogant, or unfriendly. It simply means they don't sacrifice their identity just to receive approval. Many men become different around certain people. They laugh harder, agree with everything, hide their real opinions, pretend to enjoy things they actually dislike. Why? Because they fear rejection. But people often notice this, and it creates an impression of insecurity. On the other hand, someone who politely expresses their genuine thoughts, who can respectfully disagree, who doesn't constantly seek validation, often appears far more confident. Ironically, the less desperate you become for approval, the more people naturally respect you, because confidence doesn't beg to be accepted. It simply exists. Notice something interesting. None of these qualities require expensive clothes, a luxury car, or an impressive job title. They're all psychological signals, small behaviors that quietly tell people, this person has self-control, this person has standards, this person is trustworthy, this person is comfortable with who they are. And we're only getting started, because the next 4 qualities explain why some men naturally command attention the moment they walk into a room, even before they say a single word. Number 5. People respect men who speak with purpose. Have you ever noticed that the people who command the most attention are usually not the ones talking the most? They're often the opposite. They speak when they have something worth saying. Many men believe talking more makes them appear more confident, so they interrupt. They dominate conversations. They constantly try to prove how much they know. But psychology tells us something different. People often associate confidence with certainty, and certainty rarely needs endless words. Think about the people you've respected most in your own life. Maybe it was a teacher, a coach, a manager, a parent, or someone you admired growing up. Did they constantly compete for attention? Probably not. When they spoke, people listened because their words carried weight. Why? Because they didn't waste them. Every sentence had a purpose. Every opinion came from experience. Every piece of advice felt thoughtful. That doesn't mean you should become silent. It means you should become intentional. Before speaking, ask yourself, am I saying this because it adds value? Or, am I saying this because I want attention? That single question changes everything. People remember thoughtful words much longer than endless conversations. Number 5. People respect men who speak with purpose. Have you ever noticed that the people who command the most attention are usually not the ones talking the most? They're often the opposite. They speak when they have something worth saying. Many men believe talking more makes them appear more confident, so they interrupt. They dominate conversations. They constantly try to prove how much they know. But psychology tells us something different. People often associate confidence with certainty, and certainty rarely needs endless words. Think about the people you've respected most in your own life. Maybe it was a teacher, a coach, a manager, a parent, or someone you admired growing up. Did they constantly compete for attention? Probably not. When they spoke, people listened because their words carried weight. Why? Because they didn't waste them. Every sentence had a purpose. Every opinion came from experience. Every piece of advice felt thoughtful. That doesn't mean you should become silent. It means you should become intentional. Before speaking, ask yourself, am I saying this because it adds value? Or, am I saying this because I want attention? That single question changes everything. People remember thoughtful words much longer than endless conversations. Number 6. People respect men who take responsibility. One of the fastest ways to lose respect is blaming everyone else. Life isn't always fair. Sometimes bad things happen that aren't your fault. But there is an important difference between fault and responsibility. Imagine two employees who make the same mistake. The first immediately starts making excuses. It wasn't my fault. No one told me. Someone else caused it. The second simply says, I made a mistake. I'll fix it. Which person would you trust with more responsibility? The answer is obvious. Taking responsibility demonstrates maturity. It shows emotional strength. It tells people that your ego isn't more important than solving the problem. Many men believe admitting mistakes makes them look weak. In reality, the opposite is usually true. Everyone makes mistakes. The difference is how people respond afterward. Strong men learn. Weak men blame. That doesn't mean accepting blame for things you didn't do. It means owning the things you did. And people respect that far more than perfection. Number 7. People respect men who remain the same around everyone. This is surprisingly rare. Some men completely change depending on who enters the room. Around friends, they're confident. Around attractive women, they become nervous. Around successful people, they become insecure. Around powerful people, they suddenly become overly agreeable. Why? Because their confidence depends on who they're standing next to. But truly respected men don't need to become different versions of themselves. They're respectful to everyone. The cleaner, the waiter, the security guard, the CEO, the celebrity, the stranger. Their personality doesn't change depending on someone's status. And people notice this because authenticity creates trust. Imagine someone who only treats important people well. Eventually, everyone realizes their kindness is conditional. Now imagine someone who treats every person with the same basic respect. That consistency creates admiration. Character isn't revealed by how you treat powerful people. It's revealed by how you treat people who have nothing to offer you. Number 8. People respect men who are comfortable with silence. Silence makes many people uncomfortable. The moment a conversation pauses, someone rushes to fill it. Many men become nervous. They begin talking just to avoid quiet moments. But psychologically, comfort with silence often communicates confidence. Think about negotiations, courtrooms, business meetings, leadership conversations. The person who remains calm during silence often appears more confident than the person rushing to speak. Why? Because silence suggests emotional control. It shows you don't feel pressured to constantly perform. It shows you're thinking instead of reacting. Unfortunately, many men mistake constant talking for confidence. So they overshare. They interrupt. They answer questions no one asked. And without realizing it, they reduce the impact of their own words. Sometimes, the strongest statement in a conversation is a thoughtful pause. Because confidence isn't measured by how much you speak. It's measured by how comfortable you are whether you're speaking or not. A psychological truth most men never notice. Here's something fascinating. Respect is rarely created in one dramatic moment. It's built through dozens of tiny observations. People notice how you react when someone disagrees with you, how you respond under pressure, whether your actions match your words, whether you gossip about others, whether you stay calm when everyone else panics, whether you keep your promises, whether you respect yourself. These moments seem small, but together, they create your reputation. And your reputation eventually speaks before you do. That's why some men receive respect almost immediately. It isn't magic. It's the result of consistent behavior repeated over time. By now, you've probably noticed a pattern. Instant respect isn't really instant. It's the visible result of invisible habits. And in the final part of this video, we'll cover the last 4 qualities that quietly separate respected men from everyone else. Then we'll discuss the biggest mistake men make when trying to earn respect, and why chasing respect almost always pushes it further away. Number 9. People respect men who don't react to everything. One of the biggest differences between respected men and everyone else is this. They don't feel the need to react to every opinion, every insult, every disagreement, or every criticism. Think about social media. Someone disagrees with you. Someone leaves a rude comment. Someone tries to provoke you. Many people immediately jump into an argument. They spend hours trying to prove they're right. They become emotionally invested in people they don't even know. Now compare that to a man who simply smiles, reads the situation, decides whether it's worth his time, and calmly walks away if it isn't. Who seems stronger? Most people assume strength means winning every battle. But psychologically, real strength often means knowing which battles aren't worth fighting. Every reaction costs energy. Every unnecessary argument takes away your peace. Respected men understand something many others don't. Not every opinion deserves a response. Sometimes silence communicates more confidence than the perfect comeback ever could. When people realize that you're not easily shaken, they naturally begin to see you as emotionally grounded. And emotional stability earns respect. Number 10. People respect men who keep improving. There is something powerful about a man who never stops growing. Not because he thinks he's not good enough, but because he knows he can become better. He reads. He learns. He exercises. He develops new skills. He improves his communication. He works on his discipline. Every year, he becomes a slightly better version of himself. Now think about the opposite. Someone who spends years complaining, years making excuses, years blaming everyone else, without changing anything. Which person naturally earns more respect? Growth is attractive because it demonstrates responsibility. It tells people, I'm not waiting for life to change. I'm changing myself. People admire progress, even when it's slow, because progress requires discipline, and discipline always earns respect. Number 11. People respect men who don't chase attention. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts a man can make. Many people confuse attention with respect. They're completely different. Attention is easy to get. You can become loud, create drama, show off, argue online, flash expensive things. People will notice you, but will they respect you? Not necessarily. Respect comes from consistency, integrity, character. Many respected men are not the loudest people in the room. In fact, some are incredibly quiet. Their confidence doesn't depend on everyone looking at them, because they already know who they are. Ironically, the less desperate someone becomes for attention, the more attention they often receive. Why? Because confidence is naturally attractive. People are drawn to those who don't constantly seek approval. Instead of asking, how can I get people to notice me? Ask yourself, what kind of person am I becoming? That question changes everything. Number 12. People respect men who respect themselves. This is where every lesson in this video comes together. Self-respect isn't arrogance. It isn't believing you're better than other people. It's believing your time, your energy, your peace, and your values matter. A man with self-respect doesn't allow fear to make every decision. He isn't rude. He isn't selfish. But he also doesn't abandon himself just to keep other people happy. He knows when to walk away. He knows when to say no. He knows when something no longer aligns with his values. And because he respects himself, other people often begin respecting him too. Psychology has shown something fascinating. The way you treat yourself influences how other people treat you. If you constantly apologize for existing, people notice. If you constantly tolerate disrespect, people notice. If you constantly seek approval, people notice. But if you quietly carry yourself with dignity, protect your boundaries, and stay true to your principles, people notice that too. Your behavior teaches others how to value you. Why most men never earn lasting respect? Here's where many men get it wrong. They believe respect comes from appearing powerful, so they try to dominate conversations. They interrupt people. They become overly aggressive. They try to prove they're the smartest person in the room. But insecurity often hides behind those behaviors. Real respect doesn't grow from intimidation. It grows from trust. People respect the man who stays calm under pressure, the man whose actions match his words, the man who accepts responsibility, the man who treats everyone with dignity, the man who continues growing even when nobody is watching. Respect isn't built through one impressive moment. It's built through hundreds of ordinary moments that reveal extraordinary character. That's why some people seem respected everywhere they go. Their reputation follows them, because their habits never change. If there is one lesson I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Respect is never something you demand. It's something you earn. Not through fear, not through showing off, not through pretending to be someone you're not, but through the way you consistently live your life. Every conversation, every promise, every challenge, every difficult moment becomes another opportunity to show people who you really are. And over time, those moments become your reputation. Imagine meeting two different versions of yourself 5 years from now. One spent those years chasing approval, trying to impress everyone, worrying about what people thought. The other spent those years building discipline, keeping promises, learning from mistakes, developing confidence, protecting his peace. Which version do you think naturally earns more respect? The answer isn't complicated. Respect follows character, and character is built one decision at a time. So stop asking, how do I make people respect me? Start asking, am I becoming a man worthy of respect? Because when you focus on becoming that man, you'll discover something surprising. You won't have to ask people to respect you anymore. They'll simply begin doing it. Not because you demanded it, but because your actions quietly gave them every reason to. Click the subscribe button, like, share, and follow for more.